Hey, everybody, this is Erika.
And this is Tina.
And we are A92A. A92A stands for ages 9 to adult. That's how long we've been on this journey together as friends.
92 is also our high school graduation year.
And ages 9 to adult is a nod to the board game life, which we rockified as kids in order to live out our rock and roll fantasies. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And speaking of rock and roll fantasies, you guys, we have such an amazing guest with us today. We are super honored to be sitting in the presence of one of the most legendary guitar players of all time, a master collaborator, songwriter, recording artist. And Tracii, you were named as one of my favorite rock guitarists ever in one of our earlier podcast episodes. So I just want to really welcome you, the driving force behind the band LA Guns, Mr. Tracii Guns. Welcome to the podcast.
Yay!
Yay!
I was just mentioning.
I don't hear them. No.
I was just mentioning that we met Tracii in the summer of 1990. Tina and I did when they played a gig in our hometown in Nebraska. So this is such a full circle moment for us. We're so excited to have you and be able to chat with you today.
That's great.
I want to start things off, though. I want to jump right into it. Let's kick things off by talking about this summer's Sonic Slam tour with Tom Kiefer and Faster Pussycat. Now, I will actually be seeing the show twice, once in Dallas in June, and then Tina and I are both going to be at the show in Nashville in July.
Excellent.
And I know you've been friends with these bands for decades, but how did this particular tour come about?
Well, it's interesting. We let's see. So we haven't toured in 2 years, I guess. So whatever we did before that, we did a few shows with Tom, and they went amazingly. I mean, really, they went really well. But we had talked about it a year ahead of that. Because LA Guns is a strange band. We don't really, we could tour with AC/DC, but we really don't fit with a lot of headliners, and we've been around so long, we have a lot of music that we have to play live, so
right.
So the idea was, when Phil and I got back together in 2017, was to try to find, bigger tours, and there's just nothing for us. So, we just like, okay, we're just going to do everything on our own unless something cool comes up,
Mm-hmm.
And so we had done one thing, I guess, with Tom at some point, and his manager, Tim Heine, called me or he emailed me and said, hey, what do you think about touring with Tom? LA Guns and Tom. And I said, we would do that. We would definitely do that. The music all fits. It all makes sense.
Right.
The whole kind of, blacker than black image, kind of. So, and Tom is amazing. And we have a lot of respect for him, and we have a lot of respect for the music he made with Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did those shows, and then we had talked about putting the tour together after we did those shows, and then Tom got a bigger tour that didn't happen because of the pandemic. And it was a little shady. It was a little sketchy, the tour he was going to hop on anyways. I don't want to talk about what it was, but it was something that was a little sketchy. And so the backup plan was that if that thing sketched out, that they'd call me right away, and we'd put this tour together. So anyways, the pandemic happened, which gave us plenty of time to put this tour together. So they lost that tour, obviously, and that band broke up that they were going to tour with. And so we've been planning this, for about a year, over a year. And it's all booked. Everything's on sale. Everything's great.
Yeah.
And we just got to go do it now.
Well, and I think the addition of Faster Pussycat on the bill also makes a lot of sense. I mean, all of you guys just fit together seamlessly.
Yeah. I didn't intentionally leave them out. Tim Heine actually brought that, because what do you think of, because we've toured with Faster Pussycat a lot, earlier. And it's a great bill, and it's a great night of music when just the two of us play. And Tim Heine brought it up and asked me my opinion, I'm like, well, yeah, of course, So it's a solid night of music, it's going to be great. And I mean, in all honesty, us and Faster Pussycat are doing shorter sets than we normally would on that tour. But we do have a few shows without Tom where it's just us and Faster Pussycat. And those will be a little bit more music from us bands, but it doesn't matter. The tour is going to be fantastic.
Oh yeah, I think the experience for the fan is going to be amazing. And you talked a little bit about COVID. How did the pandemic kind of change the way you approach touring in general? Because like you said, a lot of bands, including you guys, were kind of on hiatus for a couple of years. Are you excited to get back out there?
Yeah, I really am. And I wasn't for a while because, I had a baby a month before the whole world locked down, and kind of got lucky there, right? I live in Denmark. I live in Denmark most of the time, but I can only stay here 90 days at a time. Then I have to go back to the States for 90 days.
Oh.
But when the lockdown happened, I was able to stay here for the first 5 months of my baby's life.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he was born here. So then while that's going on, I started doing a lot of studio work and recording stuff for other people and making LA Guns records, of course, and things like that. And I started giving guitar lessons online. So I was really busy making a lot of money with my baby. And then we'd go back to LA, and I have a son that's 13 years old as well.
Yes.
So I have a very full life, a very, very full life. And all of a sudden the tour's happening. So now it's like, I forgot who I was talking to, a good friend of mine. And he really pointed out, he goes, well, now you have 3 completely separate lives, and it's a lot. It's a lot to kind of, like, whoa, okay. But yeah, of course, I'm really excited about touring, especially with these other bands. And, we have a new record that came out, and we got to play some, So what got me excited, though, about playing was at the end of 2021, we had some shows. And I was really nervous. I was like, oh man, I haven't done this in so long. I'm old, like, how am I going to feel physically and things like that? And we did these shows, and it was so fun. It was really fun. And it reminded me what the addiction's all about. And then on New Year's, 2 of the guys in the band got COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah. And our merch guy got COVID. And so we canceled the Monsters of Rock tour. That's just like, I don't want to have anything to do with it getting anybody sick.
Yeah.
It's too much. But so I stayed safe and sound, and my family did for 2 years. And I came back to Denmark like January 24th, and my son got COVID at daycare. And then our whole family got it. All our friends got it. And there's only 6 million people in the whole country of Denmark. And for like 3 weeks, there were 40,000 new cases a day. So
my gosh.
Yeah, it was insane. But it was like this really mild, variant of it. And, some of my friends got sick. Most of us didn't get that sick, but we all got it.
Yeah.
We all got it. And whatever.
So you escaped it for most of the pandemic, but you ended up with it anyway.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Denmark, actually. And obviously, a lot of musicians have left Los Angeles and set up residency somewhere else, a lot in Nashville, Austin, throughout the U.S. You ended up in Denmark. And I want to know a little bit about that process. Obviously, your wife is from there. Your son was born there. Yeah. How did Denmark become part of your life, and how different is your life there than it is here in the States?
It's different.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Well, we got married at the end of 2018, and she got pregnant in like May of 2019, and then the fight started. Where are we going to have this child? And since I had already gone through it once, I'm like, well, I got this great insurance. We'll do it here, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, we're going to Denmark. I'm like, I don't think so, And she's like, well, it'll be free. I'm like, well, whatever. So anyway, she bailed on me. I was doing a show And I get home, she's gone. She left. Pregnant. Yeah. And she left this long note on the the living room window. You said we were going to do this. You said we were going to go to Denmark. We still haven't been to Denmark. That's where I'm from. This whole kind of, I'm just like, shit. Man. So, a couple of days go by and, hey, I'm sorry, kind of a thing. And we got an apartment here, a really small one to start out with. And had the baby in that really small apartment. And through the pandemic, gave us plenty of time, to find some roots here and got a really nice place now. And, the thing about anyways, that's why I'm here. She's the queen. I'm just the king, King doesn't mean shit.
Second fiddle.
Yeah, second fiddle for sure. I mean, and that's typical kind of Danish culture. The women really drive the car here. You know what I mean? They got it going on. So
that's so good to know, because I'm like 97% Scandinavian. I have so many roots in Denmark. I feel like that's where I should go. I mean, it sounds like heaven over there.
Yeah, you look Danish.
Yeah, I am.
There's no question about it. Yeah, so culturally, nobody's arguing about politics here.
Wow, refreshing.
People go to college because they have to. They graduate, they have a career, they work. The government takes 40% of your money and they give most of it back to you during tax season, and you have no holes in your roads. You have free health care. You have your kids all go to college and everybody's smart, and people aren't overly competitive here. They don't have that spirit that kind of like, oh, you look like that. I want to, it's not like that. It's really, it's pretty mellow,
Wow.
The whole, what do we have? Capitalism. Capitalism's huge in Denmark. They have Lego and, huge companies. So there's very wealthy people here, but there aren't very many poor people here.
Yeah.
They really take care of their citizens, and it's, food's good, not many preservatives in anything, lots of regulations, as you imagine. The air is clean, the water is clean, people are clean.
Wow, this sounds amazing over there.
She's like, I found my heaven.
It's voted, or it's ranked first or second happiest country in the world every year.
Yeah, I know it. I know.
But but don't let that fool you, because it's dark here for 9 months.
Yeah.
Like it's completely dark. People have very blue eyes, very white skin, and because they can't absorb vitamin D. So although it's the happiest place, it also has a high incidence of depression because there's no sunlight.
Yeah.
So it's strange.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's quite a dichotomy.
Erika and I talk about the weather a lot, because I'm a sunshine, heat, hot summer kind of girl. She likes it a little bit colder. What do you miss about LA or the States when you're there?
My son.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't miss anything, because there's nothing really to miss. Hollywood's a mess. It's really a mess, and I miss my family. I have some family still kicking. But as far as being settled, walking to the store, things like that, that's here. This is where, and it's terrible, because when I'm home in LA, I have a beautiful big house in the Hollywood Hills, and I just sit there. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to walk down out of the hill. Like, hey, people that want to kill me. No. I'm just not interested in that. And my son stays with me when I'm there, and we have fun. We go to NBA games, and we drove to Utah for his birthday. And
I saw that on Instagram, actually. Yeah.
That was great. It was great. So, my real attachment, to LA is my other son and my aunt and uncle, but that's really about it.
Well, I mean, let's talk for a minute about life now versus in the 80s when LA Guns first got together. I'm a boy mom myself. I have one 18-year-old son. I guess he's a man. He's not a boy anymore.
That's right.
He's a senior in high school. So I can imagine, I know how parenthood completely changed my life and how just attached you get to your children. I can imagine that really kind of changed your creative process as well. I mean, have you noticed that had affected your creative process, your songwriting, your just your inspiration overall?
I think it changed other areas of my life. I think as far as, the kind of son-given gift of music, it's there. Like I don't have issues with creating. And I don't have issues with finding time to create. So that it didn't affect that. It affected me more in the way of wanting to spend time at home, of appreciating, home life, a reason to be home. You know what I mean? Especially LA Guns started touring when I was 21, and that was it. I just toured and toured and toured. And I always had a girlfriend, back home since I started. And my ex-girlfriend I was with for 27 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Huh. So, because it's tough. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm on tour. I was on tour for half those 27 years in time.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah, that's hard.
So, we it's tough, so, now it's all about all those experiences. I'm 56 years old, what I mean? I didn't think I'd get here.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure back in the early days. I mean, what did keep you going? What sort of was your mental capacity for weathering the tough times? Because, a lot of the bands that we talk to and the stories that we read, a lot of these bands went through some pretty lean times, whether it was no money, no industry support, not really knowing if you were going to land a record deal. I mean, what kind of kept you going in those early years?
I didn't have to worry about those things.
Well, you were really young when you guys got rolling. So
yeah. It was LA Guns has gone through a lot of changes, all the way till now. And I've always managed to just roll with the times, so I haven't had, I guess there were lean times, you would say, but not that lean. You stay active and you work, I play the guitar for a living, which is really weird because, that's luck, right?
Being able to do that consistently and full time for as long as you have. Like I said in the intro, you really are a master collaborator though. You are constantly collaborating and coming up with creative partnerships and working on projects, and it's amazing.
Well, there's a lot of talented people, to me, that are about my age, that haven't done it yet, in a way, kind of a thing, and then there's others that have. But I'm working on a record with Todd Kearns right now. That's so badass. It's so crazy. I just finished an LA Guns record and I'm almost done with this Todd Kearns record.
Wow.
So we're going to have another LA Guns record soon. And this Todd Kearns record, the Todd Kearns thing, really interesting because he's most well known for playing bass for Slash, but he's an incredible, mind-blowing singer, and I found that out 5 or 6 years ago. We did a Whole Lot of Love together in Vegas. He sang and I played guitar, and it blew my mind. I've played that song with at least 50 other people, and it made, the hair stand up on my skin.
Wow.
And we had talked about it. I go, hey, when there's time, can we do something? He's like, yes, yes, yes. So the time came, and we're 7 songs in. So I'm going to spend the rest of this week, because my wife's in London with my kid, so I have the house to myself. I'm going to try to finish up this with Todd and get that rolling. So yeah, I'm always, thinking about stuff. I still haven't done a rockabilly album. That's one of my things I want to do. So yeah, you just keep rolling.
Yeah.
Keep rolling.
I would definitely buy a rockabilly album. That's a genre that I really love. Eric and I,
too.
Yeah, Eric and I talk about creativity a lot with regard to it keeping people young and keeping them in tune and with themselves and healthy even. Outside of music, do you have any creative endeavors you pursue, or what are you a fan of? I'd love to hear what you're listening to these days. Just, what other kinds of things are on your horizon?
Not much. I mean, I got my kids, and, that's a whole nother energy, right? I got a 2-year-old, so that's a whole different energy. But I think, as far as music goes, my wife, she has a degree in library sciences. She's an audio archivist.
Oh, cool.
So she's really deep into early recorded music, whether it's, stuff from the Appalachian Mountains or, Mississippi, kind of early, kind of twangy country blues. She loves everything but jazz, which is awesome, so she's actually turned me on to a lot of music that I've heard of, never listened to. And I have Danish music going all the time too, because my son's Danish. So it's a lot to draw from musically. But I mean, my mainstay stuff is still the same. It's still, Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and Pink Floyd, Aerosmith, UFO, great songwriters, Stones, Beatles. I mean, it never got better than that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we love, but it never got better than that. So I still really am into that, and more on the rootsy side. Like rockabilly and not so much skiffle, but early rock and roll, and I really appreciate the some of the stuff where the guys got the point across without really having the musical prowess. You know what I mean? Like they really pour their heart out on their instrument, and it sounds cool, because that's the greatest thing about electric guitar is it amplifies your personality more than being agile or, some kind of speed demon or something like that, and guys like Jeff Beck, really prove that, and David Gilmour and stuff.
Love David Gilmour.
Oh my God. But even Keith Richards, who can't play like Steve Vai, but he wrote every great riff that everybody in the world knows,
Yeah.
So to me, that's really important, right? It's like, hey, I know that song, right? And that's always been the idea, even though, I'm classified as, a shredder and stuff like that, but song comes first, with me. It really does.
Yeah. And I can recognize your guitar playing instantly. I love it because it's so kind of just gritty, and especially the early LA Gun stuff. It was aggressive and it was really raw. And I just thought it was the coolest guitar sound out of any band. So
me too.
Yes, I still do.
Aw, that's because you're Scandinavian.
That's right. It must be a Scandinavian thing.
I have no chance here. I'm part Asian. There's nothing for me here.
That works too.
Yeah, it works
No,
too.
she comes from the same lineage as Eddie Van Halen.
That's true.
She's got some,
Dutch Indonesian. Yeah.
Perfect.
Speaking of, go ahead, Tina.
Well, I was going to mention, Tracii, there's a documentary coming out very soon. You got involved in a little bit of documentary filmmaking, where you narrated a documentary on Randy Rhoads, Reflections of a Guitar Icon. How did that project come about, and talk about that process?
I got a call from an agent said, hey, this is in production. They want you to narrate it. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's a pretty cool project.
And the thing with Randy Rhoads and me is I really recognize that he was not the star of his band, but became the star of his band, right? He was Ozzy Osbourne's guitar player. And the reason why he became the star of that band is because he's not like Jimmy Page, who could paint a picture with guitars, like Jimmy Page, this, that, and creates moods, and like there's like 17 guitars happening at once and all that, which is awesome. Randy Rhoads was the kind of guitar player that really had his own voice on the guitar. You know what I mean? Like Eddie Van Halen, like, whoa, you didn't steal that from anywhere. That came from you, and it was really important in my life, when I, 16, 17, 18, when I was 15 or 16, Slash came, first period was electronics class, and he knew where I was always waiting outside. And he had seen Randy play with Ozzy the night before. He goes, I saw your new favorite guitarist. And I'm like, who? You saw Jimmy Page? He goes, no, that's your old favorite guitarist. I'm like, oh. He goes, Randy Rhoads, he was in Quiet Riot. We never saw him, so don't tell me you saw him. I'm like, no, I never saw him. And he goes, he plays how you want to play, like this way instead of up and down. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, whatever, dude, And so that week, like later on, I guess on the weekend, my dad took me surfing, and Crazy Train came on the radio. It was the first time I'd ever heard it, and I didn't know it was Ozzy or anything. I didn't even know Ozzy had a solo band. I had no idea. So I knew instantly. I'm like, whoa, that guitar. Whoa, I bet this is that Randy guy.
It's got to be him. Yeah.
So when I got asked to do the documentary, I instantly said yes. I knew I was not going to participate in, any kind of analysis of Randy. It's just, I'm just reading the story, so I felt really safe doing that. Like, okay. And I went through the story, and I played with Rudy Sarzo for a year, and the story's accurate. So I was like, okay, this is cool. And, I wasn't expecting to get paid, and I got paid. And so it's very, very respectful of Randy's legacy. It wasn't put together by his family or any of the Ozzy people. So it's like the director is a real fan of Randy Rhoads, and he collected all this footage and all these stories, and it's pretty amazing. It's really cool.
It sounds like it. That sounds like a super cool project.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing of it is it doesn't go into like his musicality per se. Like it doesn't like go song by song breakdown. It's not like that. It's really like the story of his life story. And, so it's very touching, you know what I mean? It goes through, his love relationships and, growing up as a guitar teacher in his mom's school and his brother and sister and, his relationship with the guys in Quiet Riot and his relationships with the guys in Ozzy and of course the end. And it's really touching, even when I watched it a bunch of times, going through the narration, and I cried like every time. And then I swore I wasn't going to cry when I was actually doing it with the director there and the voice coach and everything. And I'm just sitting there like, here's the mic, and the voice coach is here, the director's behind me, and I'm just like, don't look at me. Yeah, I
need to excuse myself.
yeah. It's touching, and it's really sweet.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And that's such a cool project to have the opportunity to work on. I mean, it just sounds like kind of a full circle thing for you as well, because
it was
such an influence for you.
Yeah, that's definitely, I would describe it that way. It's a full circle. It's really important to me. you know, really, really important. You know, I think if somebody else done it, I think I would have been really sad.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So it's really important to me. Yeah.
Well, in talking to you, you have a great voiceover voice. You should do more of this.
I talk a lot.
should be your new side gig, voiceover work. But I do want to talk about your album Checkered Past. You just released it this past November. It is a great album. It was really met with so much positivity from critics, from fans. I love Get Along. I am obsessed with your. I think the sound is so cool. But it's a really diverse album. I feel like you guys have a huge range in terms of the sound that's coming from Checkered Past. What about that diversity really represents who you are as a band now?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, you know, when LA Guns started, we put out 2 hard-hitting records right away. And I was really pissed at, you know, everybody for voting on putting Ballad of Jane on our second record. I really wanted it on our third record. You know, I was like, hey, you know, we know that this is a great song, and we know that it's going to be successful at any time because it's a timeless kind of ballad, right? And everybody so desperate for this radio success, you know, and we had radio success, and we had success with a fan base. You know, I mean, we were projected to sell 65,000 records on our first record, and we sold 380,000 records that first year alone. And so by the time we got into Cocked and Loaded, I was thinking more of this, you know, more of what we've established. You know, it's important to establish that. And I always knew that we were going to be diverse because I get bored of music, right? So it's like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. But I felt that the right thing to do was to, you know, have an album full of rip and tear and never enough, and the stuff that's on Cocked and Loaded, other than the Ballad of Jane. You know, we have plenty of music. So fast forward to now, where this kind of, you know, resurgence of LA Guns with new music, I kind of took that approach with The Missing Piece and The Devil You Know. So that would be the first album and Cocked and Loaded, right? So where they're not that diverse, but diverse enough to be interesting and heavy, you know, because to older LA Guns fans that maybe disappeared in the meantime, the only way to get them back is to sound like LA Guns, plus, you know, plus a bit more, you know, like something, you know, a little bit more seasoning. And I thought we really achieved that. But the fact is, you know, the casual LA Guns fan really prefers Hollywood Vampires and the Ballad of Jane, right? That's the more palatable music. That's the more, you know, spreads to a wider audience, they say. So with Checkered Past being the third record now, you know, in a row, I put all the rules aside. You know, I said, okay, you know, I feel like writing. What do I feel like? You know, everybody's ready. I know everybody's waiting to see what we're going to do next. So I just didn't. I would write, and that was it. And I said, yeah, okay, there's one, and there's one, and there's one, and this is great. But the first song that I wrote was Let You Down, and that was, and we released it about a year and a half before the record came out during the beginning of the pandemic. And I really wanted to release it to let people know that, like, something's going to change, you know, that something is going to be different when the next record comes out, you know. And that was a really good thermometer to stick in someone's butt. You know, it was like, what do you think of this?
Yes.
And that got an amazing reaction, right? You know, you just put up a random song, you know, in the middle of nothing, and it got crazy, you know, positive energy behind it.
Yeah.
So at that point, all I had to do was finish the record. You know, I was like, okay, you know, all right. Like a bunch of people had said, wow, that's depressing. I want to kill myself. I hate this. I don't want to hear LA Guns do music like this. Then it might have been something else, but it wasn't. You know, it was very positive. So, you know, Get Along, you know, those types of songs, things like that. LA Guns is more globally known for that type of music than just the badass, kick-ass, heavy rock.
Yeah,
you know,
I think it's so interesting. It's so interesting too that you mentioned your fan base, and I feel like some of the bands from that era, I was just talking to a publicist about one in particular that I won't name, but that they really kind of abandoned their fans. They wanted to move on and do something else, which is fine. I mean, it's fine, but I just think it's so interesting that you're talking about, but I want to get connected again with our original LA Guns fan base and give them something that they're going to appreciate as well. So I think that's super cool.
Yeah, you know, musicians are nuts.
To say the least.
You know, we all think we're so fucking important, and we're not important. You know, the music's important. You know, it's like our fans feel like they know us, you know, through our music, right?
It's true.
So if you do like some weird, crazy, extreme, you know, left or right turn because you feel like you have the self-importance to fit in with today, and I've done it before. You know, I was really young in LA Guns, you know, and I made some serious right and left turns, trying to maintain my ego, my musical ego, let's say. And it was fine. But, you know, when I get back to, you know, diverse rock music, that's when the fans really appreciate it. And it's like, again, it's more about the songs, you know, and the chemistry really is, you know, my song structures with Phil Lewis's vocals, you know, I mean, that's,
yeah.
When people want LA Guns, that's what they want.
And P.S., we were just talking about this. There are a lot of bands whose lead vocalists, you know, aren't maybe what they used to be in terms of vocal quality. Phil Lewis still sounds pristine. Like, he still sounds amazing.
He does, you know, and he's a really balanced Englishman. Like, he's like the laziest person on one hand, but he's also like, takes the best care of his voice than anybody I know, you know, at the same time. So, and he definitely has limits on what he wants to do and how many shows in a row. And, you know, the way he warms up every day, even when he's not singing, he warms up and does these things. So you'll notice now that we're talking about this on the Checkered Past album, there are different registers he's singing in. It's not all at the top of his voice on that record. You know, we took more of a little bit more laid back. There's still some real urgent stuff, but again, more about the song, being melodic, being heartfelt, and doing that. And Phil's great at that. You know, and you know, basically the thing that Phil and I really have in common is, you know, the love of you know, when white guys stole blues from black guys. We love all that. You know, we love the early British heavy blues rock. And, you know, kind of quirky stuff, Elvis Presley, blah, blah, blah. We love that, you know, and that's our common ground, you know, so like he can listen to his avant-garde music. I can listen to, you know, fucking black metal, but we meet at LA Guns, you know, with a love for, you know, classic blues-based rock. And it's my job to make it not boring. You know, it's my job to like give it a twist. It's my job to paint the picture a little bit differently, you know? And then all that needs to happen is Phil needs to sing on top of it.
Yeah.
And then it's LA Guns, you know, so.
And then it's LA Guns, yeah.
And it gives me a lot of confidence, you know, and it has, you know, because when I wasn't doing LA Guns for 12 years, I got to know LA Guns really well, you know, like, what is it about LA Guns that people like so much? Like, I just didn't see it, you know. But the first time we got in a rehearsal room after that amount of time, I was like, whoa, right. Nothing.
That's the magic.
Yeah. So, you know, he comes out to LA in '86. You know, we played music 250 days a year for 5 or 6 years together in the same room. It just we got numb. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you know, okay, you know, I don't get it anymore. You know, I
Yeah.
lost, what time is it? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
kind of thing. But did you guys get cut?
I'm still here.
No, we're still here.
Okay. All right. I don't see you, but whatever.
No.
Oh, well, we're still here.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
We're back.
And now you're not back, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's all good.
We're losing each other in translation, but it's fine.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that that is such a great way to describe it. It really, you know, it really does become LA Guns when the two of you combine together. It's your guitar style that's so recognizable, and it's Phil's vocals that are equally as recognizable. And
Yeah.
I do think that that is something that cannot be recreated by another
Right.
band.
Yep.
It can't because, you know, I had Jizzy Pearl singing in LA Guns. She's amazing, you know, and we wrote, you know, a great album and a great sounding record. But it didn't sound exactly like LA Guns, did it? You know, it sounded is really cool.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a side project, you
Right.
know, I mean, at the end of the day. But we would perform LA Guns music, you know, older LA Guns music, and people liked it. I think that you know, it was as close as we could get it, you know, but it still wasn't me and Phil,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
And so, like, you know, now when I see guys, you know, and that's something we went through so fucking long ago. You know, you learn your lesson, right? You know, you learn from your mistakes, and you move on. Like, all right, now we know what we're doing. I see friends today, guys in their 60s, man, trying to pull this shit off. Like, you know, I got this new singer guy. I'm like, no, it's over. Stop. You know, don't do that. You know, like call me, ask me how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it'll go well, but it's not optimal, you know. And
Well,
it's
that's
not,
the thing. I think as a fan, like, because so many bands have broken up and they've taken on new guitarists, new lead singers, it's like, as a fan, you sort of enjoy it for what it is. It's like, well, at least I guess I can still hear the music. So I'm going to go to this live show and I'm going to hear Warrant or whatever it is, but it's not Warrant. I mean, it's just not. And so it's the same thing with you guys. When you guys come together, it's like, oh, now this is LA Guns. So it's going to be an amazing show.
It's bizarre, you know, but I think I've always had a different perspective anyways, because I've always sought to play with other musicians in new projects.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, so like a great fear would be, like, let's just say, you know, John Levin's a great guitar player. He plays in Dokken. But everybody's just fucking waiting for George Lynch.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, what a shitty fucking position to be in. You know? Like, yeah, here I'm playing in Dokken, but here comes George. You know? It's like, that's not cool. It's not cool. It's not cool for anybody, you know?
I know.
And it's just such, you know, that's the one thing that I really hate about 80s rock, is it has this kind of misogynistic, you know, kind of bravado about the guitar worship, guitar hero kind of thing. And sure, you know, it's real and there's some great players, but it ain't better than the songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not better than the songs. And so, you know, you find these guys in positions, and then, you know, especially guys like me with huge egos, you know, we're just like, you know, whatever. You know, I don't need you. I don't need anybody, because I can play a fucking pentatonic scale. Like, you know, so, you know, at the end of the day, you know, for me, you know, I get the benefit of, you know, fucking 40 years looking backwards almost. You know, it's like, yeah, I did a lot of stupid shit, and I'm here to tell you, don't do that stupid shit. You know, don't do it. You know, it's just,
it's like being a parent, right? Trying to impart this wisdom.
It's funny that, so when we made the record, we were in, you know, lockdown, right? We made Checkered Past. So Adam Hamilton played drums on that album, because he has his own studio. He's like a sixth member of LA Guns. He's done millions of things for LA Guns over the years. Scott Coogan, there's no way I could have him play, because had he gone to Adam's studio to record and he brought COVID in there, Adam Hamilton's daughter is immune compromised.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Nobody went to Adam's house. So Scott gets another gig, and him and Phil start pissing on each other in, you know, this really low level press, you know? And who hears about it? I hear about it, right? No matter what the kids are doing, I hear about what the kids are doing.
Yes, the dad always hears. Yes.
Right? And I'm fucking 10 years younger than these guys. You know, it's like, hey, so I send a text about, I'm like, yo, I already got 2 kids. You know?
No more.
Yeah, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear about this. You guys apologize to each other and do it in public now. You know, I'm trying to get us on the cover of Rolling Stone, and you're trying to get on the cover of Metal Slugs. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know? And I think that was a little bit of equalization there for a minute. They're like, oh, yeah, shit. You know, like, what are we doing? You know, where, you know, and what it does is it translates to the fans. And, you know, a lot of 80s rock fans, they love that shit. They love that drama. It's part of it. But we're too old for that drama.
Yeah.
It's not a thing anymore. It's like,
no.
You know, so yeah, in a lot of ways, I've become a parent.
Yes, more ways than one.
For the whole project, you know, the whole, and even Phil comes to me, you know, and he's like, well, you know, it's really your thing, you know, so what do you think? And I'm like, yeah, I know, you know, Jesus. And that comes also from being lazy. You know, it's like, Trace, I trust you, man.
Yeah, I trust you.
You just handle it.
And I'm too lazy to do it myself. Please handle.
No, he's not that lazy. But, you know, sometimes I'm like, come on, man. You know, help a guy out here.
I think fans are over the drama, though, too, because your fans have all grown up as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking from my perspective, I love it when I see my favorite bands kind of like have their shit together. Like, I love that. I love that. I see that my favorite bands have also matured right along with me. They've grown up. They're, you know, they're totally living their best lives now. And that's why I love to follow you actually on social media, because I feel like it's just such a great representation of like your best life. Like you said, you have these 3 separate lives, but they're all awesome. And it's being a dad, and it's working on music, and it's collaborating, and it's writing with your old pals in LA Guns. And it's fantastic.
It's cool. You know, it's funny, when I was younger, before the internet,
us too.
You know, you didn't really see a lot of drama or hear a lot of drama.
Yeah,
in
true.
bands. You would hear something maybe like on the radio, like, oh no, they broke up, you know. And I remember always feeling bad. I didn't feel good. You know, I'd be like, like, wow. And then I never heard anybody really say anything bad about anybody until maybe Kevin Dubrow or something. You know, he got a little high on his horse at one point. And I thought it was really weird. And I really loved Motley Crue, you know, through Shout at the Devil. And the coolest thing about Motley Crue was they never really did interviews. And if they did, they were just kind of like really ridiculous, over the top, kind of like, yeah, we're going to get chicks, dude. We're going to drink. And like, you know, I want to set a car on fire. And so that was bigger than life. And I really enjoyed that. And then Nikki started saying weird stuff about people at some point. And I was like, why are you doing that? You know, like, why are you doing that? And then I got in a band with him, all right?
Yeah, Brides of Destruction, right?
Yeah. And we're going to do our first interview. And I don't remember what the question was, but Nikki kind of derailed straight into like, he wanted to say something shitty about somebody, you know? It doesn't matter who it was. And I just stopped everything. I go, yo, why?
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you mean, dude? And I go, there's no reason to do that. You know, like, you don't have to do that. And he goes, well, yeah. So for the rest of the time in the band, he never did it. You know, he realized that all you do is alienate somebody else that might like who you're talking shit about, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and a guy like Nicky is so likable, regardless, you know, I mean, you know, he's likable, period. He's got charisma, you know, like he doesn't have, all he has to do is be a nice guy.
Right.
You know, but it's those types of things where it's like, then I get sucked into it. You know what I mean? And then like someone's talking shit, and then I'm like, hey, you know, shut the fuck up! I'll beat your face in. You know what I mean? It's so immature. You know, and that's 80s rock. You know,
It
like,
is, yeah. That's like
element.
Sunset Strip playing the clubs, right? And you know, getting into fights with each other, and
yeah. Well, it was a little different. Yes, there was that for sure. You know, but you know, our guys were a little different. Like, you know, the Guns N' Roses guys, the LA Guns guys, we're a little seedier.
Yeah.
We were a little seedier. You know, no one wanted to fight with us, you know, because they would get, you know, they get, you know, some disease from us. But
that's great.
But everybody's an adult now, or has been for 30 years now, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it just could be so much more harmonious because, you know, there's a lot of guys kind of out of work, you know, that are, you know, that are still very valuable players, or, you know, could have their bands back together, but they hate each other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the case of LA Guns, you know, we had a member that fucked us, you know, and that's why we're at where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And so, sorry, kids, you know, that's not ever going to happen again. But,
right.
But a lot of these guys, the bands are not broken up or split into two because somebody really fucked somebody. It's more of an ego thing, you know, and that's a shame.
Is it more of like, I don't need you, I can carry this band on my own kind of thing?
I think so. Or it's like, I'm so sick of your face after 30 years, you know, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But you know, but you know, I mean, we're all getting towards the finish line, right? So it's like, you know, you want your families to have money and you want to have security, and that's one of the reasons you're still around, is you still love doing it. It's probably a good idea to do it with the guys that are most important for your project, and you know, live and learn.
Yeah, love it. I'm so excited for this tour. I know Eric and I are both really stoked to come out and see you guys on the road. You're one of our favorite bands for sure. We're so glad you have your shit together. We're very happy about that.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I never said I have my shit together.
As much as we're all faking it, it's all good.
Yes. Well, we so want to thank you for spending time with us today, Tracii. We could probably talk to you for the next 2 hours, but I know you have other things going on. So really, we just want to encourage our listeners to find more out about the Sonic Slam tour. I know all of your dates for that upcoming tour are listed on the LA Guns website, which is www.lagunsmusic.com. Don't forget to follow LA Guns on social media at LA Guns, and then also you at Tracii Guns, my favorite account to follow. And Tracii, like Tina said, we are so looking forward to seeing you out on the road this summer. I just cannot wait to and like you said, you've never been together as a package with these bands, so it's just going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great, and I'll see you twice.
Yes, twice, at least twice. I'm actually bringing my 18-year-old son along with me, and you know, he doesn't really share my passion for music, and so he doesn't know a lot about this music, so I'm super excited to like expose him to this. Like, this package in particular is so representative of that genre, so I can't wait to have him see it. He's gonna see it twice, whether he wants to or not. So
that's awesome. Well, it's like my 13-year-old, he hates music.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, like and you know, the thought is because he's very competitive since he was tiny, and that's the one thing that he can't do better than me right now.
Oh,
so he's just like, but he's funny, you know. I'll listen to this, I go, that's the best guitar player, and he goes, no, you are.
Oh,
but you don't like it. He goes, I like it, you know, but I just don't like the singers, you know, or whatever, you know. But he has no interest in music. But the little guy, who's only 2 years and 2 months, man, he's strumming and hitting on everything and dancing, and so he's
really,
yeah.
Oh,
totally
that's
different.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's really into it.
That's amazing.
So, it's exciting stuff. But anyways, yes, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
That's right. See you guys out on the road this summer. I guess that's another one in the books, Tina.
It's another one. Why don't you take us out?
Yep, you can follow us and interact with us on our website, a92a.life, or on Instagram at a92a_life, or on Facebook, A92A. And in the meantime, keep ratting those bangs and banging those heads. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.